you live, yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. I hope everybody out there is being safe. I hope that you are taking care of your families, because it is apparent that the supermajority in our state house could care less about the health and safety of your family. Let's be real. Republicans are talking about herd immunity. Have y'all heard about this herd immunity thing? Well, I heard about it, so I had to go read what this thing is all about. What is this herd immunity? So this herd immunity is where a vast majority of the population gets infected with the virus, and then they build up natural immunities, and then everyone just becomes immune. And the goal is to shelter the higher risk people, and those of you who are not high risk, you just go out and be willy-nilly and get the virus and do your thing. Well, there's one problem with that. There's several problems with it. First and foremost, those people who may not be high risk and may not lose their lives because of COVID may have family members in their household, in their space that they see every day, or someone that goes to work, right? Someone's going to work, they're high risk, like me. They wearing their mask, doing what they're supposed to do, and you go out and get infected, and then you infect me, and now I'm dead. And the death rate they anticipate for this thing is about 1%. Now, I know you sitting around saying, oh, Dana, 1% ain't nothing. It's nothing. No, we're talking about over 365 million people. 1% of 365 million people, as Rachel Maddow explained to us, it's over 2 million people that will die. 2 million people that will die with this herd immunity. If you're talking about a small herd of 10 people, if one person dies, it's one too many. But it may not be something as daunting as you may think it is. But when you think about the fact that a third of Indiana could die, because we have 6 million residents in the state of Indiana. I mean, obviously they wouldn't all be from Indiana, but the equivalent of a third of our state could die. I don't understand what this notion is with the people on the right, that they are willing to sacrifice the lives of humans. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what your color is. I don't care what your gender, sexual orientation, or any of that. You're a human. And the fact that we have elected officials who are deciding, didn't remember back in 2008 and they was talking about death panels, and Sarah Palin, who could see Russia from her backyard in Alaska, we're talking about death panels. I'm sorry, was that a premonition? Was she able? She might not have been able to see Russia, but she might have been able to see the future, because obviously they have no qualms about sacrificing our lives. I also consider this when they are doing everything they can to dismantle our United States Postal Service. They don't want us to vote by mail, and they're doing everything they can to disrupt this, and then say, I don't know if you guys saw any of the hearing with DeJoy. That was a hot mess. Basically, he said, these things were started before I got here, and I don't know who made these decisions. Say what? You the Postmaster General. I know on my job as an IT business analyst, if there's a failure in the code and I didn't catch it, even though I didn't write the code, my job was to make sure the code went out like it was supposed to. That's a failure on my part. So as Postmaster General, you are supposed to make sure any decision that is made in the post office is a positive reflection of the organization, not something that is going to cause veterans harm in two ways. You know, they always talking about them veterans, ain't they? Always talking about, you better stand up during the anthem. It's about the veterans. Well, first of all, most veterans get their medication through the VA, which we already know about. But do you know that a vast majority of retired veterans work at the post office? So not only are you causing them harm by not allowing them to get their money, but you are disrupting how they make their money or get their medicine. So I know that y'all keep wanting to talk about, Biden this, Harris that, blah, 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 blah. 45 is doing everything he can to trample our Constitution, piss on our norms, and drive America to the depths. You know, there's no greater destruction than destruction from the inside. There is nothing anybody on the outside of these borders can do to us that more than what we are doing to ourselves. And even though he is just one person, the Republicans on the other side are silent, which means they are complicit. How are you down with this? Mr. Representative Cotton, Senator Cotton, whatever your name, Peter Cottontail, that's what I think about when I see him. When I see him. You running around with a Constitution in your hand every 15 minutes. You wrote a letter to a foreign dignitary to say that he should not accept any invitation from President Barack Obama. You've already committed treason once. But this is where we are, y'all. And with a little more than 50 days until the election, I need all of y'all to put your thinking caps on and tell yourself, listen, do I want to continue down this path where there's riots in the streets, there's destruction everywhere, people are dying, over 185,000 people dead? Or do we elect some intelligent people that are going to put a cabinet in place that is actually looking out for humans? And it's the same thing I say about our state house. Governor came out with a mask order and we was good to go. Mike Pence came in town, mask order gone. Well, are you the vice president or are you the governor of the state of Indiana? Which one is it? I'm going to need you to not have two jobs. But we got somebody for that. We got Dr. Woody Myers for that. I want you all to think about where you are now and where you were when President Barack Obama left office. No, nothing has ever been perfect in the United States. And I know for some of my brothers and sisters, this is a rude awakening for y'all about all the corruption. You see what's happening in Georgia. They purging people from the rolls. That in Georgia, if you don't vote, you lose your right to vote. What is that? If you don't use it, you lose it? What is that? This is where they are because their policies suck. And when your policies suck, you got to cheat. On our side of the aisle, we're talking about people. We want to deal with this COVID. We want to deal with systemic racism. And we want to get our economy open and working and get kids back in school, but we want to do it the right way. So when you're looking at your ballot in November or early voting or mail it in, whatever you do it, consider who is actually looking out for you and your family. And I'm really hyped about that because I really ain't down with dying. And I really ain't down with people that I care about dying. So could you work with me on this, please? Could you all work with me on this? All right, that's my rant for today. I'm done because you know what? Last week I did a Black Women of the Democrat Party, but I didn't do any candidates because I knew there was too many Black women running for office, and I did not want anybody like, girl, you didn't call me. I didn't want none of that. I didn't want none of that. So I said no candidates. But tonight I got two of them on. Two dynamic women. First up, I got to pay homage to the senior, Miss Vanessa Summers, who is representing. Hold on, I got this information. I got it. She's representing House District 34 in our state house. No, not 34.
99. I sent you an email. I don't know where you got that from. I'm in House District 99.
Well, you know what, sister? You were awful polite about that because you could have been like, girl, if you don't fix that soon.
Well, I sent you an email.
I must have missed that. I missed that. My bad, y'all. Representing District 99, Miss Representative Vanessa Summers. Vanessa, welcome to Turn Left.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And thank you for looking over the idiot.
You know I love you, Dana. You know.
And next up,
I love you.
I love it. And next up, this is her second go round, y'all. So when I tell you if things don't work out the way you want them to the first time, and you don't give up, you keep trying. She won a hotly contested primary 2 times in a row, running in District 6. And she's taking on one of them other Pence boys. The other one. You know, and I got to tell y'all, last time he ran, he did not have one picture with him with another living human being. Basically, dude was like, I ain't got to do nothing. Only pictures of him during his campaign were on next to brick buildings. That was it. I noticed. I was like, he didn't even bother. But she's back again. She won her primary, and she's the only sister running for a congressional seat in the state of Indiana. Y'all give it up to my girl, Jeannine Lake, holding it down. How are you doing, congressional candidate?
I'm doing very well. I'm in Kenosha, Wisconsin right now. I'm actually in the heart of where a lot of the action took place a couple of weeks ago, and where Jacob Blake unfortunately was shot in the back 7 times, and where Kyle Rittenhouse really was slaughtering people that night. And so I came down here for some campaign reasons, to network a little bit too, and just truth be told, to talk with some pastors here. So I appreciate you having me on in the midst of this crazy week. It's an honor to be with Miss Vanessa, who is acclaimed in many places throughout Indiana.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to be here.
I don't know if that's the word, acclaimed.
You are acclaimed.
Well, first question before we dive into everything. Again, I'm still on a little high with the appointment of Senator Kamala Harris as our VP pick. And I know you guys did not sit on the panel. I hope you had a chance to check it out, because the women were really excited about this choice. Representative, you've been doing this thing a long time. Tell us what it means to you to see Senator Kamala Harris on the ballot as a VP pick.
Oh, first of all, as an African American woman, it is just phenomenal to see that. When Barack became, a part of, running, that was the pride. But you just really have more pride when it's your people, when it's just like you. And she's also a member of my sorority. So, that's another thing.
Lord, they still ski-winging around here.
Oh my goodness. So we're just happy, and glad that I have been a part of history twice.
I love it.
So yes.
Miss Jeannine Lake, what does it mean to you?
I was overwhelmed. She was, I had her, Val Demings, and Karen Bass, who's head of the Black Congressional Caucus, as 3 of my top 3. So I was happy with any of them. I also like Tammy Duckworth, but I got to tell you, the night that she actually really got the nomination, I was overjoyed. I was just, I don't even know what came at me, but I like Miss Vanessa said, it did something to me to see a black female up there in all her glory. She's got sass. She's the smartest candidate, certainly I think up there past Mike Pence, and she's sharp. She's the whole package to me, and it just meant so much to me. I actually texted my daughter from upstairs and made her come down. So we watched it together. We took pictures together so we would remember this night. But I still am like you guys. I'm overjoyed even now.
Absolutely. And you know what? Neither one of them were my first choice, right? Neither one of them. But my problem was I wanted Stacey Abrams. I didn't care what nobody said, right? And she's like, nah, I got to fix Georgia. I'm going to hang out here. I'm going to fix Georgia. But you know what? I think this is one of the most amazing tickets that we have seen in quite some time. Listen, there's no perfect candidate. The only time you're ever going to see a perfect candidate on the ballot is when you see your name on the ballot. That's the only time you're going to agree with everything that candidate says. But when you look at the amount of, right? Am I right? You know?
Well, then you could say something one time and go, "Who did I say that?"
Man, look at, and I am a Jim.
Dana Black, you need to come for it. I guess Brian Bosma is out of there now.
Yeah,
but you need to get back on that ticket.
No. Listen. I live in Representative Greg Porter's district now. I'm happy. I live in Senator Bro's district now. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm squared away. But the other thing is this.
Senator's open in your area?
No. That's Senator Jean Bro. I'm good.
Okay.
Oh no. Look, don't you start no troubles. We're supposed to be starting good troubles, not them kind of troubles. You stop it. No, I'm not running for anything. I'm gonna sit up here and help.
I'm going on mute.
There you go. So, but the other thing is like, I know a lot of people were they didn't understand why was it necessary for me to do a panel of just Black women in our party. I felt like in the state of Indiana, there were people who were like, wait, there are Black women who are qualified? And it was the way that, you know, some of the conversations were flowing. And I had to remind them, even though y'all didn't want us to say we wanted a Black woman, I mean, you know, power concedes nothing without a demand, right? And as black people pole vaulted Joe Biden in this race, because he was dead, he was not dead, he was losing bad. Black people lifted his campaign. We made a demand and said we want a Black woman on a ticket. Talk about the importance of representation at every level of our government, especially as loyal as we are.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about that. I do, obviously, Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. I think it was over 90% voted. I think it was literally 90% voted Doug Jones into Georgia in 1998.
I think it was Alabama. Yeah.
Now Alabama. Okay. Throughout history, certainly as long as I've been alive, Black women have gone to the voting polls, you know, for our party. And so, you know, I think if it hadn't been Dana, I think we would have had an insurrection of some sort. And rightly so. Black women are where it's at right now. You know, I think, you know, whether it's talking about candidates, whether it's talking about, all right, a little bit. But seriously, I mean, you know, and they just had so many wonderfully qualified candidates to choose from. So it wasn't like, you know, we're slim pickings here.
No. Representative?
Well, yeah. I know that there are wonderful African American women candidates from all around the state of Indiana. And you know, sometimes they're a little scared of our power and who we are, how we look, how we walk, how we talk.
Come on, that's swag.
And you have that swag, and you've got to make sure you don't dim your light to make them comfortable. You know, and we have been the backbone of every movement. Those gentlemen that marched back in the day, Martin Luther King Jr. and everybody with him, those men couldn't have walked without them women packing those lunches and those clothes and making sure that they were okay. And those women that received, you know, especially those people that got beat up and hurt, there were mothers and women receiving them like we always do. So, you know, that is what we do. That's who we are.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know that some of our listeners, because I had to post a question about being too Black, because I heard, you know, some folks was, you know, giving me that loving warning about, oh, Dana, don't get too Black. I'm sorry, my last name is Black. You can't get much Blacker than to be named Black. You know what I'm saying? And and as much as I tell people all the time, just as much as I want to look out for all 6 million Hoosiers, 6 million plus Hoosiers, I'm going to always be a Black woman with Black woman experiences. You know, so you can't tell me to not be who I am. I am not Candace Owens. I said it.
Oh God, let's not talk.
Thank God.
Let's not waste our breath and talk about her. But you know, at the State House, you have to tell them, look, I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman first. I'm a woman, but I'm a Black woman first.
Yeah.
So what is going to be good for my community, you know, is what I'm going to do. That's the reason I'm into this. I'm working hard to deal with maternal health because there's so many African American women dying just by having a baby, just by being pregnant and having a baby, and how the healthcare system treats African Americans and African American women in particular. So we've got so many fronts to fight on, you know, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to do that. You know how we do that circle where all of our backs are to each other, but we fighting everybody else.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to have to do.
But that's what representation does, right? I mean, because is Jim Lucas introducing legislation in our state house to protect Black pregnant women? No, he's too busy smoking a bomb. I said it.
Who'd you say? What name did you say?
I said Representative Jim Lucas out of Seymour.
Oh, let me tell you something.
Well, you know, he was up to some mess again. Didn't he tweet something out this past week?
Yes, he tweeted. Yes.
I don't understand.
I think, okay, listen, I really believe that he is a plant to make the marijuana.
I lost you. I missed it. Where'd you go? Oh, shoot. That was me. Oh, man.
Anything I said, did you see me?
Okay, dang, that was me. My fault. What did
Do
you
you
say?
see her?
I'm here.
Do you see us?
I'm here. Can y'all see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
We saw you the whole time.
I lost sound for a minute. You said he was a plant for what? I'm sorry, you got to repeat it.
Okay, I said that I believe that Representative Lucas is a plant so that Indiana will never have recreational or medical marijuana, because if he leads the battle, it will never happen.
Exactly, because he's a prime example
It is not, and it's because so I believe they say, here, you take this and run with it.
Yeah, because he's a prime example of people who should not use substances. He should just breathe air. So let's get into this. Jeannine, you are running against a family heirloom and someone who has name presence in a very, very tough district. And when you're out here, obviously campaigning is very different now than it used to be. When you're talking to your constituents in District 6, which goes from Muncie all the way down to the Ohio River, which is crazy, right? What are the things that the folks are telling you, and how are you sharing your message in this very, very difficult district?
Well, it's been interesting because you do have the urban areas like Muncie, Richmond, Columbus, but then you have 700,000 people in the district, 19 counties represented. You have rural areas, you have farmers. They're concerned about their crops. They're concerned about USMCA, whether or not it's going to work. It's just started in July. They're coming off 3 or 4 years of terrible trade wars with China. Their corn went down. Their soybeans went down. There were crops that they didn't even make any money off of. I think it was $19 billion is what they had in this last bailout. So we've got those concerns. We've got healthcare being threatened. It's kind of insane to think, Dana, that in the middle of a pandemic, literally once in our lifetime event, that Greg Pence and the administration is actually trying to still appeal the Affordable Care Act, where 192,000 Hoosiers rely on that. 30-some million Americans rely on that. The opioid crisis is still a huge thing right now, but it's been amazing to think how many rural areas and smaller towns that I've actually been to that are concerned about racial equality and racial justice. I really did. I know I wore myself out going to Black Lives Matter events between after George Floyd died up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago is when it started really subsiding. I still have 2 this weekend that I'm going to. But I think we calculated about 38, 39 events that we went to over a 2-month period. Anywhere from literally 3,000 or 4,000 at Ball State to 3 or 4 in Batesville, Indiana.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I love Batesville. I love going down there.
I mean, Batesville, Rushville, I went to Union County, Liberty, Hope, some of these places, they're concerned about those same things. So, there's a myriad of different things, but we're trying to reach them. My district is 93% white, about 3% black, and but what I know is that everybody's concerned really at the heart right now of staying safe with COVID.
And I think that's great that I tell people all the time, I'm not afraid to go anywhere in this state. I will hit any one of these counties at any time. I've been to Rushville. I've been to all the little places you just mentioned. And one of the things that when you start to connect with people, I do have to take my unicorn horn off. I mean, I don't actually, all the time look like a real, I'm, a female. I'm more masculine in appearance, so I still have that thing. But when you get down there and you talk to rural,
you're a beautiful unicorn.
I'm gonna take that because I need that. Okay. But when you get down there, these folks, they want to stay in their small towns. They want to continue to go cultivate their small communities. But they're seeing jobs leave. They're seeing opportunities leave. Their children grow up. They go to college and they don't come back. what are some of the things that you have in mind as you think about moving off into Washington and you get elected that can help revitalize these small towns where they want to be in small towns?
Well, one of the things that I think that we haven't really discussed as much is how we can make environmental issues something that turns into jobs here in the 6th district. I think anything, land, sea, and air. Anytime we can increase, those kind of things and awareness here in the 6th district, and realize, what, we're looking forward into the next century. What can we do to change that into jobs in our community? Yeah. And so broadband is an issue. I mean, think about it. If we just brought broadband to rural areas, some of these smaller towns, I go into these places and I go down a hill, Dana, and then I don't have MapQuest anymore.
Right, you're stuck.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And I've been in places where it's dead for like
miles,
10 or 15 minutes, and I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah.
Why can't we translate that into jobs into some of those smaller towns? Why can't we bring those monies, and get funding for that and make it where people are interested in coming back to the community? You can't even get, we're in a global society, but you can't even get internet in some of those places to be able to even compete for a job that's through e-learning or, through digital or online.
Exactly. And Miss Vanessa, that seems to be one of the things I just have the hardest time with. You're in the State House with those elected officials from these rural and small communities. Why aren't they supporting initiatives that would better suit the communities that they represent, like high-speed internet and like renewable energy?
That's a misconception. Those rural areas. We say that urban areas and rural areas have the same issues. And what we find is they have a hard time getting their message over too. Okay. So you saw today where the governor is going to trying to put the broadband in the rural areas. Well, that's the answer to virtual schooling, and nobody in virtual schools in the rural areas can go to school because they have no Wi-Fi. So yeah, what do you do? And they're not like all the way totally against it, but you have to understand. See, Dana, you got to understand the mechanism of the State House. Sometimes they have to vote against their own interest because they are being herded by their speaker.
Oh.
Brian Bosma was a very strong speaker where he had to keep 70 of them, in line. And some of them are really radical right-wing people. In the State House, the office around the corner from me has a "Don't Tread on Me" flag on the wall and a Trump, well, it was the last Trump sign, big hanging up. So, I bought a Black Lives Matter sign to take and put in my office.
You have to, son.
But let me tell you what I had to do. Let me tell you, I had to give it away, though, recently. She's not my constituent, but it's somebody that I know lives close to Butler. And, of course, you're plagued with student housing, people renting their houses out. So next to her was a "Don't Tread on Me" flag and a Trump flag, but it says "F you, what you think, Trump 2020." With the word, the word spelled out.
Yeah,
I saw it on her Facebook page. I DM'd her and said, "I'm bringing you my Black Lives Matter sign." And I had just got it off of eBay.
I love it.
And took it right over there, and her brother-in-law came and put it in the yard. Their signs were down within 2 days.
And see, but I mean, okay, I get the politics of, when you have a supermajority, you gotta, manage that. But, when it's, and I understand the art of compromise. Like, I understand that you're never gonna get.
I'm gonna say something, Dana. If you see those Republicans doing whatever Trump does in DC, why do you think that the Republicans in Indiana are going to be any different? I'm just asking.
I just wanted to. I was going to assume. I was just going to assume that was happening. I'm not actually in there, so but that helps us. Like when you're in there and you can tell us what's really going on in that state house, it helps us to like focus on how we can help make some changes. Like, okay, these kids.
Well, see, there's a couple of things that I say.
Mhm.
First of all, I don't represent every African American in Indianapolis or in Indiana. So some of the representatives don't look like me, but they have constituents that look like me.
Mhm.
But the constituents that look like me, that representative don't know who they are. You have got to know who your representative is, and you have got to hold them accountable for their vote. And we always say that the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus, we not only represent the people, the 13 of us that we represent, but we go around to other towns that have a majority population and have town hall meetings so that they can know what is going on and how we vote and how it works. So you got to be able, who your representative are. You're lucky that you have Greg and Jean, but there are a lot of us that they've moved and they vote in Carmel and those other places, but they don't know no representatives don't know that there is a African American faction in that community.
Yeah.
Even if there is, the African Americans don't know that they have a faction in that community that they need to pull together.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the deal. Like, when I ran against Bosma, I had Brian Bosma, Jim Merritt, and Susan Brooks as my representatives. Honey, I was living in purgatory. How did that happen?
You had to leave, didn't you? You had to move.
I had to go. It was time to go. But the good thing is that sometimes it's not even about the racial makeup of the district, right? Like sometimes I go to Boone County, and I remember when after 2016, all these Democrats were peeking their head out like, wait a minute, there's more Democrats? And I think that's the other dynamic, right, Jean? When you go down to, Jeannine, when you go down to these other counties and all of these Democrats are like, we're here.
Oh, definitely. Let me just get back really quickly to the point which I was thinking about. Maybe the reason why some of the other side doesn't necessarily want their constituents to have broadband. I'm not saying everybody, because I understand what you're saying, Ms. Vanessa, but realize the more educated people are, the more democratic they are. So, I mean, I'm just saying. Okay.
Well, statistics say the data shows.
Right. The data shows. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, I'm sorry. You asked me about the diversity of the demographics. Yeah, and it's largely white, but you know what? There are pockets of Democrats here, and also the thing is when you look at other polling outside of politics, you ask people what's important to them. They say healthcare. You ask them what's important to them. Because 92% of Hoosier kids are in public schools. They say public schools. They say a living wage, which, we are the federal minimum wage is $7.25, and Greg Pence voted against it recently. It needs to be at least $15, and economists say it should actually be $23 an hour. So, these things people want in the 6th district. I think that even though I do have a brown face and a little bit more melanin than most of them, they know that I'm going to be the fighter for them. And, I've been out there to see that, there are some hardworking Democrats. You know them because I'm telling you, everywhere I go, Dana, they know you. And I tell you what, I think that Columbus adores you maybe more than I do. Those people down there are just like Looney Tunes for Dana Black.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Although so is Dearborn County. Yeah, maybe those two, Columbus or Bartholomew County and Dearborn County, Christine, John, Kim.
Stop! You're making me blush. I'm turning burgundy.
It's the truth. Yeah, I'm telling you. I think the democratic values, the liberal views, the progressive views are alive and well in Indiana, and the polling outside of political polling shows that. When you research it, I don't know. It's like they're voting against their interests sometimes. They really are, because they say these things are important, but then they keep voting for a party truly that has let them down decade after decade after decade, and left them I say the least, the last, and the lost.
And I find that interesting that you said that because if you look at if you're like me, you have to hear the right side of things because they if you don't know where your enemy's coming from, you don't. And I don't mean to call them enemies because that's not. They're still all American citizens. But if you don't understand where the opposition is coming from, you don't know. And they always want to tell us that as Democrats, we've been voting for Democrats, and oh wow, nothing has changed. And then I say to them, well, no. That's not quite true. We know what happened with the parties in 64 and 65. So we know that there was a party shift, and even though they want to pretend like there wasn't, there really was. But liberal and more progressives, whether you were Democrat at the time or Republican, because there were progressive Republicans before then. Progressive movements and liberal movements have always been about leveling the playing field, right? Giving everyone an opportunity to be as successful as they possibly can be. But with them and you saying that they were voting against their interests and voting against policies that hurt them, we literally see we want to keep your wages low. We're not going to let you collective bargain. We want to poison your land. We're going to try to do everything we can to limit to give teachers the pay that they need. They're literally doing things. Whereas, I ain't gonna tell you I'm down with every Democrat, because some of them I'll be like, look, but our policies, right? Our policies are about improving the quality of life for every being. And I think that's where the difference is. Y'all chime in.
I was so busy ending up what you were saying. I
was trying to defer to Miss Summer.
Yeah, because it's about the policies that you like. You just mentioned, Miss Vanessa, that you were.
Well, I want to go back. I'm going to go back to January. I want to look a little ahead. IBLC came out with a social justice package. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to fight everybody to get that done.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard time for us because they don't want to agree that, first of all, there is an issue.
What?
Well, if we don't win the presidency, you know where that racial justice package is going.
Right.
Well, but we got to flip that state house, though. We got to get rid of that supermajority so that racial justice package could even get heard in a committee or whatever.
Well, we're just trying to get to a quorum.
Oh.
Where we can break a quorum, where we don't have to depend. Like if we go out, if we have a quorum and we go out, we can stay out until we want to.
Right. You ain't got
because there's nothing that they can do. We have not been able to do that in the last few years. Mm-hmm. So I think we need one person, and that
I think we flipping seats. I think we flipping seats this year. I think we're gonna get rid of that supermajority because those donut counties on the north side of Indianapolis that are all red right now. I believe that almost all of those, and I believe all of them are gonna turn blue. I think Representative Houston, his speakership is gonna be short lived. If you ask me, that's what I think.
Really? What about that? And Representative Tor? What about him?
So he's more up in the Noblesville area, I thought, and so he's a little bit. His is going to be a little bit more difficult. Not that it can't be done, but if you look at like that Southern Fishers area, that Southern Carmel area, and that Southern Zionsville area, where, by the way, in Zionsville they have a Democratic mayor. In Fishers they elected their yes, and then in Fishers they elected their first Democratic councilwoman, and Jocelyn Vare. I believe this go round that those donut counties, the southern portion of Hamilton, Boone County, are going to flip blue this year because the population is growing out in those counties. And whenever there's a population increase, what happens? It tends to turn a little purplish, a little blue. You know what I'm saying? So, just because you outside of 465, there's a whole bunch of y'all now. And so between Amy Rivera Cole and Naomi Bechtold and Ashley Klein and Dana, she's running in your district. Pam Deckard is running against in 88 the vacancy. I think all four of those women have an opportunity to really flip those seats. So we're sending you some help. We're sending you some help.
Please.
So what else have you been working on in that state house that we should know about?
Well, the social justice package. I've talked about the maternal health. My other love is kinship care. We have a lot of children that are being taken care of by kin, grandparents, sisters and brothers, close friends, but they are not getting any support or help. Unless you're in the DCS system, you get no help. So trying to figure out how to help these families that have, that's what we do. We take in our people.
Yeah.
But the problem is that we have 70 and 80-year-olds taking in children.
Yeah.
And they not necessarily want to go through the foster care system, but they still don't have a way to get them in school, get them to the dentist. They don't have legal papers, just simple clothing and respite care for a senior. I have a 6-year-old. I'm wore out by the time Emerson Grace leaves up out of here.
Honey.
But 24/7, I don't know if I that would be something I would, I could do it, but I'd be hurting.
I know I can't do it.
And so we have a lot of families out there that, when in 2018, when Holcomb told us that the children in need of services numbers were going down. Well, yeah, they were going down because you were giving these kids to their families.
Right.
Family members, and you weren't giving them any care because they weren't going through the foster care system. They couldn't get any help, but they still need help and they still need advice. And, so I've been ringing the bell since 2018 what are we doing about kinship care?
Kinship care. I like that because, I like that.
So, working on that, and actually working on infant mortality and pregnancy, for example, pregnancy accommodations for women in the workplace.
Oh, you mean
I shouldn't have to go to the bathroom to pump.
Right.
You should have somewhere I could go.
That's private if you need it.
That's private so that I can pump.
You don't have any place in the state house to do that, do you?
No.
Well, I think, again, representation matters. We need more women in that state house because 24% is not enough. Jeannine, when you get elected, you're going to get an opportunity to sit alongside Congressman Carson and learn from one of the best, right?
Right.
Talk about some initiatives that you see that are happening right now that may or may not get passed, and how you want to try to. I know you got to come in, you got to get in, you got to fit in, but what are some of the things that you see that are out there now that you want to get a hold of and become a part of?
Well, I did mention, obviously, some of my hopes for the Green Deal.
Oh.
That's important to me. I have a newspaper called The Good News of Muncie. We center on African American news, and we also center on faith news. And we did an initiative a year or so ago called When Black Goes Green. And we talked about the fact that, because in the environmental issues hasn't been, I'm not saying it's not a concern to brown and black people, but we're concerned about keeping a roof over our head and food on our table. And so, but I think those things affect us, especially in some of the, in Indiana, some of the more urban areas in terms of the pollution that's in the air. Our minority children are having asthma at such higher rates than other groups. You know this, Ms. Summers. These the things that we don't talk about, or things that we don't really know about. Well, it looks like I've got a group right here coming right in a second.
Oh, they marching in Kenosha, baby.
Yes. So I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me.
You're
real
fine.
Great. I'm going
We can hear you.
to defer just to her for a second. Looks like they're coming up here. Dana, let me get you on mute, and then
Okay. And she's talking about, you know what, Miss Vanessa, that's actually a good thing. Like, I've heard a lot of folks talk about how Dealing with the environment in our community sometimes is like the last on their list. Because we do deal with criminal justice, but that's not the only thing that we care about. We do care about education and that. Talk about how some of that is being communicated in your social justice program, because certainly there's some environmental concerns in there, right?
Well, yes, there's always want to be able to have clean. We found, the NAACP found out that some waters in our those water fountains, and they have lead in them in the schools. Some of the NAACP last year, Representative Carolyn Jackson had a piece of legislation for Gary
District 1
about that passed about the lead in water.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the lead in water. But what we found out through the NAACP is that Indianapolis had just as many problems as Gary as far as lead in those water fountains. And so that's the reason we were able to make that piece of legislation statewide, so that it would encompass everybody that could go in and get their waters tested. Because the gentleman from the NAACP, his name is Mr. Gary Holland, the paint chips in some of the schools have lead in them. And the thing about that is that they're sweet. Lead is sweet. Oh. So, yeah. So when you see, you don't know what's going on with a child, he or she may have been eating the lead paint off of the walls because it tastes sweet. So we do have those environmental concerns in Indianapolis and Indiana, especially when it comes to, they said our numbers were just as bad as Flint.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Because we haven't actually really addressed a lot of our systems, our infrastructure systems over the years, right?
Right.
We try to do the best we can. Well, I know that you guys try to introduce stuff, but look how long it took to get proper funding for the roads.
Right. So we know, that environmental issues affect African American populations even more than we thought in the beginning.
Right. So jump back in there, Miss Jeannine, about that Green New Deal and why you want to jump on that.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had to move. I didn't realize that they were scheduled to have a prayer vigil here, so I apologize. But yeah, those things are extremely important to me. I think as we look at the administration that we're under, that has gotten out of the Paris Agreement, that has basically thumbed its nose at every EPA policy that Barack Obama put in place over when he was president for 8 years, whatever it is that they can possibly do to appease corporate America, putting things into our land, our sea, and our air that are absolutely atrocious, all for more money. Those things are important because they're not really. They're just an issue that we all need to be a part of. It's a global issue.
Yeah.
That's why we need to be, part of international talks and meetings and things like that as we go into the future. And so, yeah, I'd like to. I'm with AOC on those things. Quite honestly, I'm lockstep with her. I think we need to look at a 10-year plan. It might take us a while to get some of those things implemented, but I'm down for that, Dana.
I think that's great. And you know what? This pandemic has shown us how we can't go it alone anymore.
We cannot.
This is absolutely. I know that people are like, some folks get all paranoid about a global economy. I'm sorry, the economy's been global for a very long time. Like, exactly. This ain't nothing new. It's not like everything that you bought 20 years ago, 30 years ago was American made, American sold. No, it's been coming from, literally a Ford vehicle may have the transmission from Australia, the engine from Mexico, and the seat cushions from China. Literally it's been coming from everywhere. And anybody that spends time in logistics understands that, you get a bunch of sub-assemblies, right? And I think that the fact that we have so many people that are like, we need to isolate ourselves and wall ourselves off from the rest of the world is why one of the reasons why we are so far behind on this COVID crisis. There are other nations that are doing amazing things to curtail this, but no, 25% of the world's population got a significantly higher percentage of the COVID deaths. And so when you're in the feds, when you're up in Congress, you're going to have to talk about those federal policies. I mean, those international policies and those foreign policies. So, do you have anything else, a nugget you want to give us about, some of the other things that you see that would be important for us as we consider who we vote for?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that when I'm in Congress, and I do believe I'm coming there one of these days, I'm gonna run in 2022, and I hope I run as an incumbent.
Come on.
But I want to really be a representative that is present for my district. Right now, whether it's Greg Pence, Luke Messer before him, David McIntosh, I think in there somewhere. We haven't really had people that stayed. They once they were voted in, they went to DC and never came back. They act like they really do forget about the community that they're in. They go there to make a lot of money. I'm not really a person. I feel like as long as I've been poor, I was poor most of my life. I was poor my complete childhood. It was only when I, went to college and gained, a couple of degrees that I became successful. But I know what it means to be poor. I never really wanted to be a millionaire. I feel like, the Lord blesses me, to be able to take care of my family and to have a house that's nice and a car to drive. Those kind of things are the things that drive me. But I feel like we have to have someone that cares about our constituents. Inside the word representative is the word present, Dana. We can't get a representative that will be present for the 6th district. They don't care. They're not there. Right now, I kind of laughed when you talked about at the beginning. Greg Pence was taking pictures with mortar and brick. There's actually humans here.
Not to him.
I think, unfortunately, that would be a big change for this district. Having someone that is down and dirty with you. I want to do I would like to go and do kind of a immersion type thing with some of the farmers, and to get them on board. I tried to get endorsed by the State Farm Bureau. I spent well, you know how hard that is. Yes. I know a lot of them are Republicans die hard, but I gave it the old college try.
And you know what? And you should show up.
Like that.
Oh my God, you should show up because I mean, my goodness, how they gonna know who you are if you go? Oh, that's all Republicans. I'm not gonna go. Heck yeah, show up. I love it. Yeah. So I mean, and I'm excited. So I want to get this out before I forget because I'm old now. I wanted to say this.
Dana, I'm older than you.
Yeah, but you ain't the one making mistakes. That would be me. I wanted to say this, Jeannine, and I need people to hear me when I say this. I watched your campaign for the last I've watched you for the last 4.5, almost 5 years when you started your campaign, and you knew I was real cool with Jim Pruitt and I was real cool with the other gentleman. I can't even think of his name that time.
Lane Sigmund.
Yeah, Lane, thank you. But you came out and you worked with these men, right? Y'all were all in the primary together. Mm-hmm. You came out and you won, and you had nothing but gracious things to say about them pre-primary that year, post-primary this year. I didn't know a lot of the primary candidates this year because I didn't get a chance. We couldn't get out, right? But I've watched your campaign and I've watched your maturation as a candidate, and I gotta tell you, I'm liking what I see. Not that my opinion matters for nothing, but as someone who spends a lot of time with good candidates and some candidates, I go, whew, let me help you, baby. Spend some time with Auntie Black.
All right, baby.
Spend some time with Auntie Black because we want you to be a good Democrat. I am so proud of watching your growth, and I support you 100% on your candidacy because I think it is important that representation matters. One of the things that I struggle with in our party is that we sometimes have these litmus tests on what a good Democrat is. I disagree with that. I believe that there are a lot of our policies are about improving lives. And I believe 100% that when it's time for you to vote on a policy that is going to impact human lives, you're going to be on the correct side of those votes. And I will support you. I will continue to support you. You got me. You know what I'm saying? Because a bottom line is I've watched you grow. I've watched you.
You pushed me to grow a little bit though, Danny. You know you did. No, I mean that in the best way though, because I felt like if we can't make each other better in a way that we had some pretty big talks sometimes, and I felt like you cared about me. You put that out there first, and then you challenged me a couple times. You asked me some questions. I know that I feel like I appreciate your compliment, and I take it very seriously because I have grown as a candidate. I've tried to hear more. I've tried to talk less, and I'm in this for the long haul. This has actually changed my whole life. Yeah. Like before I was a journalist for 30 years. Because of that, I've had to be objective. So I haven't really been involved with the community as much as, I was always a Democrat. But every single election since I'm 18, I've always been a Democrat. But in terms of like really being involved, you always had to be objective because I'm a newspaper reporter. I wasn't a columnist. I couldn't, take sides and things like that. So, but I was always kind of listening. So this was something, after Trump got in and I was so dang on ticked off at just everything. That's the reason why I got in. But I never dreamed I would win. I got to be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen.
Not when you go against people like, Jim Pruitt and Lane Siegman and some of the others, people that I admired so much. And, let me just give an honor to Jim Pruitt, who was, a statesman.
Mimi, we love you.
An honorable statesman. Yeah. And Lane Siegman, too. I just texted Lane the other day. And he was so encouraging. So I just thank you for that. I appreciate that.
And I think that's the thing that people need to understand. Like, if you are willing to learn and grow, you can represent your community. It doesn't matter the racial makeup. It doesn't matter the demographics of that community. If you are willing to learn and grow and absorb what you can absorb from the people that you will represent, which is what you've done. I'm telling people, listen, the other thing is, what you got to know is this. I ain't never going to really let nobody like poo-poo on a sister too much. No,
I know that, sis. Oh, absolutely. I felt that so deep.
There's only so much of that I'm going to take. Real talk.
I know.
And even if I have a problem with a sister, I'm not out here running my mouth about it, right? Because we get enough crap tossed on us just for waking up in the morning and just being fabulous that I'm not gonna do that. I don't to think that all black women get along or all black people get along. We don't agree.
Wow.
Half of us. I mean, there's some black Republicans. I'm going, what in the world? You know what I'm saying? There's some in my party. I'm going, what in the? But the one thing that I will not do, I will criticize like. But to me, the best way to help people is to not embarrass them, but is to talk to them and see if they're receptive to what you're bringing. And if they're not receptive, look, then I ain't got time because, I ain't raising no kids. You know what I'm saying? Miss Vanessa, I've been watching you for several years hold it down in that state house between you and Cherish Pryor and Robin Shackelford, who will all be on the show. I had Carolyn Jackson on last year. I couldn't get Reagan this year. There's something amazing about watching the camaraderie between you and the other ladies, the Karen Italians, I'm drawing a blank now. Y'all know all the other amazing women.
All the women.
Yeah, all the women.
The Democrats have more women than men.
Absolutely. Tanya Fife and Carrie Hamilton and all of these amazing women. Arrington.
We're going to have another African American come in the place of Carter. Carly Macer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I already had Miss Pack on. She's already been on the show. You already know.
Love her.
Yes.
Talk about a sister that is down for everyone and just she is a gracious lady.
She's a beautiful spirit.
Yeah, we're looking forward. You know, we hang out, we go places together. You know, if somebody ain't, you know, if we out of pocket,
Yeah.
sis, you out of pocket.
Yeah.
You know, we have that, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate is watching the women of our party who are
I can get a look from Cherish that shuts me up like.
I'm be sure to tell her that because she's coming on the show in a couple weeks too. But I just think, especially when we're underrepresented.
Terrence has known my husband for 30 years.
Wow.
They graduated from Fort Wayne High School, Southside together.
Oh.
Right.
He told me she's always been who she is today.
Wow.
Just absolutely amazing. You know, take no prisoners, but you know what? She takes no prisoners, but she does it in such a sweet way. You don't even know you're being told off.
Well, and that's the thing. But I mean, again, when we consider that, you know, we're over 51% of the population in the state, but we represent only about 24% of our elected officials in the state. I love watching how the women. There have been times where Republican women have sided with women, the Democrat women. And I think that there is something to that. There's something to that camaraderie that we create as women. And I remember there was an issue that came up a couple years ago, and I happened to be at the Black Caucus conference, and there was Cherish, Robin, and Vanessa, and they was like, "Look, what's up?" And I was like, "Let me explain." But I appreciated the fact that, you know, y'all, and that's what's important is y'all talk. And y'all communicate. I never saw a flyer from Brian Bosma until I ran an election against him. I never saw anything from Jim Merritt. I never saw anything from Susan Brooks. Well, I get stuff from Congressman Carson. I get stuff from Representative Porter, and I get stuff from Senator Jean Breaux in my mailbox. These folks, in any given time, you're going to find Representative Porter at a concerned clergy meeting or in the community talking to people. And Miss Vanessa, you are one of those people as well. You have been doing this for so long. What keeps you going, sis? What keeps you going? Well, that dog will keep you going.
My son is coming in. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We back.
You know, I was a legacy. My dad was a representative for 15 years. And yeah, he was Joe W. Summers. He was a representative. He died I'm 62. He died at 61. So I have been in the State House with him, with his memory and legacy, and just trying to do better for the community, because that's what we're supposed to do. You know, I always tell people that when I went to the legislature, it was just because I wanted to be somewhere he was. Okay. You know, honestly, to be honest, I was a daddy's girl, honey.
I'm a daddy's girl too. I'm so much a daddy's girl, I dress like him. One day he tried to
see, you know what, Dana.
He tried, wait a minute. No, my daddy tried to get No, listen, one night I was getting dressed when I was my daddy's caregiver, right? I was my daddy's full-time caregiver, and it was one of those nights where I was gonna get off. So I got dressed to go out with some friends, and my daddy literally looked down at my feet and said, "Are those my shoes?" No, man. These ain't your shoes. Get on back, Jack. Listen, you ain't the only one with swag in the family. But yeah, I get it from my daddy. I ain't gonna lie. James A was the one. Y'all, I consider, you know what I loved about this conversation tonight is that you could literally see us sitting around having coffee and just chopping it up. And Jeannine, I hope that, you know, Vanessa offered up something that you can tuck away as you continue to work, because that's legacy, that's history. That's a person that's been doing this for a long time. And Miss Vanessa, we support you. Whatever you need from us. Y'all, if you're watching the show and you want to donate to these, well, me and Miss Vanessa got to talk about that. But if you want to...
You didn't tell me to have a link.
I never
tell me.
But see, I never really tell. But I put it on my shows again.
Well, I probably should have known, right?
Right, because it comes on every week. Just saying, you know. But I'm also trying to be a better Democrat. to my fellow candidates by placing their fundraising links on this show when we do a live broadcast. So if there's something that you like that they said and you want to support them and you want to get behind them, click their link and you can just donate right there. It's right there. You ain't got to go look for it. Jeannine Lake, and we will get Miss Vanessa Summers. She's an incumbent, and I don't think she has but you know
Opponent.
what? Opponent. But if you donate to her, she's one of those folks that actually helps other candidates. So I'm just saying, if you decide to do that, y'all, sister girls, what? We did that tonight. I love it.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
We can listen.
I had a good time.
So
do we have a moment to dance it out to September?
Come on, yeah, because you got a birthday coming up, right?
Yes.
Come on, hey, you know me, I'm always ready for a boogie. You know.
Well, I said that, but I guess my other machine just went dead. But maybe we'll do it next time.
That's all right. We'll play it in your honors, y'all. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. I have with me today congressional candidate from District 6, Jeannine Lake, and representative representing District 99, which I corrected, 99. My girl, Miss Vanessa Summers, holding it down, representing all of us all over the state. Again, not just Central Indiana, not just Gary and Lake County. Black folks is everywhere. Women, strong women are everywhere. Give us a listen, give us a chance. And there are Democrats everywhere too. So when you guys are out here and you see these Trump signs and you get all frustrated and you having a Facebook tete-a-tete with somebody who, you know, is repeating, you know, inject bleach into your body. I don't know what to tell you. You know, but stay positive and know that, you know, help is on the way. You know, help is on the way. You know, I have a face mask that says, keep calm, Black women to the rescue. But I'm going to get another one that says, keep calm, Democrats to the rescue. We're going to come in and we're going to fix this thing. We've got Democrats all over our state that are looking to represent you either at the congressional level or in our state house. We've got progress happens over time. Nothing's going to happen overnight. But if we do the right thing and elect the right people like Representative Vanessa Summers, send her back, and then send Jeannine Lake to Congress so she can work with Congressman Carson, then we can maybe make some real changes, all right? It doesn't happen overnight, but this little bit at a time, it can happen. Y'all, thank you so much for giving us your time. I value each and every one of you who come on the show every week and listen. I'm going to keep bringing you some folks. Remember, I am working on a conversation with Latino candidates because we got to make sure that we support our Latino candidates. I am also working on a power of the brown and Black vote. I'm working with the Monroe County Democrats and the 9th District Latino Caucus so we can have that discussion so you can understand why it's important to you. Also, remember, election night, I'm working on something special so that we can have a watch party so we can talk to candidates who become elected officials that night. I know some of them won't be because, you know, mail-in ballots, they are what they are. But we're going to talk to folk and we're going to bring it to you live and try to make sure that everyone stays engaged because being civically engaged is more than just voting, right? That's the least you can do. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Indiana's own. I love y'all. Good luck, y'all. And Miss Vanessa, let me know what you need from me now. I'm always here.
All right, I will.
And you got my personal number.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. All right. Indiana's own Dana Black. Turn left. We will holler at y'all next week. Peace.